we shall be taking a look at matters construction. And our guest this afternoon is George Mburu, who is the CEO of Mizizi Africa. And remember, the topic is the cost of construction in the country currently. So to kick us off, perhaps, so Kenya's construction industry contributes immensely to the economy and the well-being through employment, provision of housing and infrastructure. And taking a closer look into the industry, it reveals that it attracts massive public and private investment, as well as it's consistently growing. So, however, there are obstacles troubling the vital sector. Perhaps to kick us off, what are the troubles currently being faced in the construction industry that have attributed the high cost of construction in the country? Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes.
All right. Now, as we proceed, perhaps what are the troubling issues that have resulted to the high cost of construction in the country?
Yeah, thank you very much. And housing is a very critical part of our economy, and it has been identified to be one of the big four agendas in the Jubilee administration, including the others: agriculture, healthcare, food security, manufacturing, and also housing. And housing contributes immensely to the growth of our economy. And because, as you have correctly stated, it is not only about the houses, but it also creates creates employment to the people who are involved in construction, and also the professionals who are involved in construction, including architects, including engineers. And it's a very big sector that touches even on agriculture, because when people are working, they need to eat. When people have a source of livelihood, it reduces cases of insecurity. So housing is a very critical and crucial part of our economy, and the government of Jubilee administration has identified housing to be one of the big pillars. And it is not something that can only be done by the government. It is something that even the private players need to be involved, because it is something that it is touching on everybody. And some of the challenges, as you have asked, that we are facing, especially we people who are in the private sector, is the cost of construction. And affordable housing, you underline the word affordable. We need to come with houses that are affordable. And considering the high cost of living, considering that people's income has mostly been eaten up by other basic needs like food, like transportation, and the cost of fuel. And cost of fuel basically also affects the cost of materials. One thing that has really affected the construction industry, one is cost of materials, and to top it up is the cost of land. Cost of land, which takes actually about 30% of the cost of housing. Cost of land has gone very high, and this is something, if it can be looked into, and we know the land is owned by the government, what I can encourage the government is to look at also the cost of land. If we can have private developers being given land that is subsidized, or given loans that can go into the purchasing of the land, and also the cost of materials, there are subsidies that are given to the private developers, I believe the cost of construction can go down, more jobs can be created, and the manufacturing sector, including cement and steel, can also be improved. And also we can look at the cost of the issue of taxation for people who are doing affordable housing, private developers. The issue of taxes, let it also be checked, and also the cost of cement, it can also be zero-rated, the VAT, as well as other materials like the steel, which are used for construction. And these things can bring immensely the issue of construction. The other thing is we have seen there is no proper policies. Yes, affordable housing is one of the big four agendas by the government, but there are no very clear policies to see to it that people get houses. And we know with housing also there is the issue of money coming out of the other countries remittances. People are remitting money in a large scale because people also want to have something back at home, and we have also seen it is something that is also attracting foreign investors, and by that we get foreign direct investment, and that is something that can also give us foreign money, which will also make our dollar to stabilize. So there are so many issues that can be checked into and help our economy grow in large. Yeah.
So when you mention the cost of materials has gone up, perhaps recently Mburu Cement was among the companies that announced the increase of prices in its products between 2 to 10%.
Sure.
Perhaps if you could paint a picture of us of perhaps the cost of certain materials. You mentioned steel, perhaps how much is a kilo going for of steel, a bag of cement. Perhaps just help us understand how bad things are looking.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you very much. The cost of cement, for example, that we normally use in large scale has gone up from, we used to buy it at around 525, and at the moment it has gone to 625 to 600 to 700, around 700. That's around 100 to 150 increase, and that one, because we are using cement in large scale, you find it eats so much into the cost. The other issue you have asked is the cost of steel bars. Steel bars, previously we used to buy, let's say, a D8. A D8 was going for around 550, 580. Now it has gone up to 700, which is like a 30% increase, and that one is also eating into the same cost of construction. The other material is the cost of tiles, which are also used in when we are doing the finishings. They have also gone up. Previously we used to buy a packet from 650 to 700. Now it has gone up to 1,000, which is more than 30% also increase. So we have seen there is an increase in over 30% for the cost of construction, and also the cost of land, as I had mentioned, it has gone very high, because again it's a good thing that the government is doing the roads, but you find once a road has passed somewhere, the cost of that land appreciates, and because the land is not controlled, the price of land is not controlled, you find somewhere that has now become somewhere that can be constructed, the price of land also goes up by quite almost double. You find a land that was going for $1 million goes to 2 million and above, and the person who bears this burden is the end user, is the consumer, the person who needs that home, and we need more people who are not paying rent. Yeah, so if people are not paying rent, you will find even the rent will automatically go down, because the burden of or that demand will reduce. When more people are having their own homes, the burden will reduce. And this also is contributed by the high cost of fuel. The high cost of fuel, as we have noted, it has gone up. At the moment, the cost of diesel is going for 140, and most of the materials that are used in most of the manufacturing use diesel, and also in the transportation. So diesel is also affecting the cost of these materials. So the cost of material, not only the prices themselves, but also the transportation. So for example, when we are transporting even materials that we normally get at the quarry, stones, sand, because of the transportation, it has also gone up to another 30%. So you find this issue of affordable housing, which is creating employment. When we look at the cost, we are not able to give as many as maybe the demand would require.
All right. So when we look at the use of the high cost of raw materials, perhaps how can manufacturers rather use innovation to address this issue? Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue of using technology is very important, and we have seen our foreign partners who are interested in assisting us tackle this issue of construction, because it's something that is also dear to them. There are machines that are used, especially when manufacturing things like bricks. And these are machines that we have also identified. They are there, even with some of the ministries, like the infrastructure. There are those machineries which are used to make the bricks. And when we are able to make the bricks, maybe where you are doing the construction, we are able to reduce the cost of transportation. So what you need to transport maybe is the sand and the cement, and you're able to create those bricks. Another thing we have noted is there is those columns that are being manufactured. There are some machines that are manufacturing columns, so that when you are doing the slabs and also the hollow blocks, when you are doing the concreting of let's say the slab, you find that when these machines are encouraged to come in large scale, and we remove the issue of taxation, and they are encouraged to come in large scale, this is something that can also reduce the cost of our cost of materials, because when we manufacture these bricks, we are able to reduce the issue of transportation, logistics, and again, it will even increase the houses that we are putting out there, and it will also create more employment, and it will create more people who are used in the running of those machines. So what we can encourage is let those machines be encouraged to come to our country, and let them be subsidized, so that as we also talk about reducing the taxes for the cost of materials used for construction, we also have things that are making these materials very affordable. And for sure, if we encourage this one agenda of housing, agenda of housing that is in the Jubilee administration, it is going to create employment for the youth. It is going to create that opportunity for bringing those machinery. It is going to create a room for manufacturing industry. Yeah, so it is going to assist so much. So we are calling upon the government to touch on those two issues: the land, cost of land, and also encourage those machineries that are used to make the construction bricks and such things.
All right, then I understand that we've run out of time. Perhaps on your final remarks.
Sure. Yeah, my final remarks is to appreciate the government for coming up with the affordable housing, and also call upon the people. This is something that can not only be done by the government alone. We as the private developers and the end consumer, the people who want those houses, it is high time we also get involved. We join hands, such that, for example, if we want to have houses being done in a certain area, we come together, we bargain for a good price for the land, we walk the journey together. We do not leave this one only to the government or the private developers. We all need to join hands, because for sure the need is there. We need to stop paying rent, or at least a majority of the people, so that by the time we are considering ourselves as people who are independent, as we have envisaged in Vision 2030, we will be there very soon, and we'll stop paying rent. Most people will stop paying rent, and that money will be able to use to educate children, will go to healthcare, and basically to grow ourselves. So we welcome the people who need those houses. Come, join hands with people like us, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, or other private developers that are assisting the government in these big four agendas. And by so doing, we are going to create businesses, we are going to create jobs, we are going to have remittances back at home, and basically we are going to grow our economy. Thank you, and may God bless.
Well, thank you so much. That was George Mburu, who is the CEO at Mizizi Africa. Well, thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence.